我是 Lin Morkinson Smith 合伙人兼亚太区主管，非常高兴组织本次跨越文化携手共赢专题讨论会暨中秋节庆祝活动。
I was honoured to moderate one of today's panels where we shared practical guidance for businesses looking to expand internationally.
Automotive, and I just say on automotive that you've probably read in the newspapers the advent of the electric vehicles and the Chinese manufacturers in the UK. That is advancing at pace, and because it's advancing at pace, that's going to create significant amount of jobs and also ancillary trades to support this new industry. So electric vehicles, we are a tariff-free environment. So I see us, the UK, being a platform for further investment for Chinese companies so that they can then use that to actually budget UK to go back into Europe. So we've actually had quite a lot of activity taking place, but what we don't see is this actually publicly stated. And what we as a country and what we as organisations and what you in the room have all got to do is actually to promote that business is actually it is taking place, significantly taking place, because we've got to kind of create an environment where it's positive vibes about doing business with China, vice versa. If we do that, we create a positive momentum. And the occasion such as today is a very good example of that. So thank you.
And as John rightly points out, the Department of Business and Trade is very focused on business in the UK with China. And as you know, there was recently the first JETCO in many years that took place in September. We had the EFD, Economic Financial Dialogue, discussing financial services and cooperation, from which many tangible actions have flowed. That was earlier this year. We have most probably a high-level meeting early next year in February from the UK to China. And that will be, I hope, a sales job promoting investment into the UK from the highest levels of the UK government. Now, all of this is backed up by the work of Treasury, DBT. The City of London has set up a concierge service to help people come here and invest, to make it easy, to pull together all of the different pieces of the jigsaw puzzle that are required. So just to quickly summarize the other things that I think we mentioned, time zone, language, the rule of law, the culture, all of these things make London a little bit special and relatively stable compared to some of the other alternative centres of investment around the EU in particular.
There's an even more pressing target that we have called the Clean Power 2030 Action Plan. So that's looking at a decarbonised grid by 2030 or 95% decarbonised with a little bit of gas left in. And when you start to look at those targets in particular, many of the things we've talked about earlier in the previous panel about offshore wind, for example, the ambition is to triple offshore wind by 2030. Now we're making great strides in offshore wind at the moment across the UK, but there's a whole more lot to come. Solar, we talked about solar, didn't we? And manufacture of solar panels. Something like a quadrupling of the solar power that we get in the UK from its current position of probably about 15 gigawatts up to a maximum of 47 gigawatts. So huge growth opportunities there. But actually the relationships that you can build in places like this with advisors like yourselves, I think is really powerful. And I think it actually gives us a slightly different dimension. I'm probably one of the only local authority people that keeps coming to these things, and there's a good reason. I've got a vision that it's going to work out on it.
The UK has a very, very ambitious target to be net zero by 2050. So that means there's a huge market opportunity for you if you're in clean tech, green tech, or supply chain transitions. And you're going to be supported by the government to do that, because those types of businesses will help make what could be traditional manufacturing businesses, the businesses for the future. Absolutely speak to your DBT representative. I think in Asia, I think there's something like 30 Department for Business and Trade offices. I think there's 5 or 6 in China alone. These people are going to be door openers and information givers. They're not going to be doing your structuring, your tax, your law work. They're not going to be doing that. But what they can help you do is say, right, these are the things I need to think about to go to the UK and to be ready to go to the UK. They can then connect you to people locally on the ground in the UK. To your point, Ian, if you know exactly where you're going to go, speak to your DBT representative and say, can you introduce me to this mayoral combined authority, that local authority, that chamber of commerce, because they will be able to help you locally. DBT is a UK umbrella.
衷心希望今天的活动能够促成新的联系，激发富有深度的交流，并带来切实可行的启发。在此，我谨向所有来宾和嘉宾表示诚挚的感谢，感谢你们分享宝贵的专业经验与见解。最后，祝大家工作顺利，万事如意。